NATO is sounding the alarm. The alliance is pushing its European allies and Canada to ramp up military stockpiles by 30% in the coming years, a massive boost to counter Russia's growing threat. But here's the catch. Europe's running dangerously low on the gunpowder in TNT it needs most. According to Bloomberg, NATO's planning new capability targets to replace outdated ones set before Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine. The goal? Strengthen 5 critical areas: air defense systems, long-range strike capabilities, logistics, communications, and ground forces. These new targets, set to be adopted by June when defense ministers meet in Brussels, demand a 30% increase in equipment across the board. Some sectors could see even bigger jumps, or smaller ones depending on need. But it's not cheap. Most European nations and Canada will need to pour significant cash into this, while the US, NATO's heavyweight, keeps its spending steady. Why the shift? President Donald Trump's been vocal, accusing allies of leaning too hard on America. He's pushed for Europe to shoulder more, even floating a wild 5% GDP defense spending target, way beyond the current 2% many struggle to hit. Now, with Trump back in the White House and US focus swinging toward China in the Asia-Pacific, Europe's bracing for a lighter American presence. NATO officials say these changes, spanning 5 to 15 years, could make European and Canadian forces tougher and less reliant on the US. But the US will still anchor key areas like intelligence, logistics, and nuclear subs. Here's where it gets messy. Europe's ammo makers, like Germany's Rheinmetall, are scrambling to keep up. Since Russia's war in Ukraine kicked off, Rheinmetall's boosted gunpowder production by 60% at its Nitrochemie Aschau plant. By mid-2025, they're aiming for another 40% jump, hiring 300 workers from dying industries to run 24/7 shifts. CEO Armin Papiga says they might need to double output to 20,000 metric tons by 2028. But even that won't cut it. Why? Europe's short on the basics. Gunpowder and TNT. Artillery shells need nitrocellulose, made from cotton, and explosives like TNT or RDX. One shell alone guzzles up to 12 kilos of gunpowder. The EU's pushing for a 50% boost in propellants, 10,000 tons more per year, and a 30% jump in explosives, over 4,300 tons. Problem is, Europe's got just a handful of plants, like Poland's lone TNT factory, and a new one's years away in Finland. The supply chain's a nightmare. Cotton for gunpowder, mostly from China, Russia's pal. Nitric acid for explosives, also imported, thanks to high costs and red tape at home. The EU's tossing $500 million into its ASAP program to fix this, and there's talk of $150 billion in loans for defense. But experts say it's not enough. Regulations choking progress and raw materials are scarce. Take Nitrochemie. They've stockpiled years of cotton linters and shifted sourcing to friendlier nations. But across Europe, manufacturers are stretched thin. Demands soaring. 2 million shells targeted for 2025, up from 1.4 million last year. And Trump's aid frees to Ukraine's only hiking the pressure. So NATO's got a plan. 30% more firepower to face Russia. But with gunpowder and TNT in short supply, Europe's racing against time and its own limits. Can it rearm fast enough? That's the question hanging over the continent.